The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. Jesus took with him Peter and James and his brother John and led them up a high mountain where they could be alone. There in their presence he was transfigured. His face shone like the sun, and his clothes became as white as the light. Suddenly Moses and Elijah appeared to them. They were talking with him. Then Peter spoke to Jesus. "Lord," he said, "it is wonderful for us to be here. If you wish, I will make 3 tents here, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah." He was still speaking when suddenly a bright cloud covered them with shadow, and from the cloud there came a voice which said, "This is my Son, the Beloved. He enjoys my favor. Listen to him." When they heard this, the disciples fell on their faces, overcome with fear. But Jesus came up and touched them. "Stand up," he said. "Do not be afraid." And when they raised their eyes, they saw no one but only Jesus. As they came down from the mountain, Jesus gave them this order: "Tell no one about the vision until the Son of Man has risen from the dead." The Gospel of the Lord. I'm sure that many of us, if not most of us, have heard this story of the ugly duckling by Hans Christian Andersen, right? A story that we all grew up with. And we all know how the story goes. This small little duckling, very different from all the other ducklings, apparently because it really, totally not like a duckling at all. So it was ridiculed, jeered, and everything, to the point where the duckling itself felt that there was no point for it to live. Because it was so different, it couldn't fit in, and no one wanted to accept it. But as the story goes, that we know, one day it looked at itself in the water, and suddenly it saw something else. It was not a duck, it was a swan. So it was a swan all along, wasn't a duckling. But no one realized it until it grew into something beautiful. Now, this is something that happens to many of us. Some of us feel like we are the ugly duckling. Yeah, some of us, when we are born, or rather when we grow up, we may not look so beautiful, not so handsome. Yeah, okay, that's fine. But suddenly, when we hit puberty or we come to a certain age, suddenly something changed. And our appearance start to become more graceful, beautiful, and all that kind of thing. But it's not just limited to physical features, because it is also the internal. The ugly duckling story can also be used for internal growth, not just for physical growth. For some, they may grow up not having any skill, not having any talent, or maybe they are considered a bit slow in learning. I will not use the word stupid because I don't believe that I don't believe that there is a stupid person in this world. We are just not willing to learn, or our train of thought goes on other paths. But sometimes we also bloom late. That for me, for example, for myself, when I joined the Carmelite order, I was already 38 years old. So I was seen as a old or late vocation. And when you enter at that age, studying is a bit difficult because our minds start to slow down. Our little brain cells start to slowly go away. And I wasn't as good as the other batchmates who were in their 30s. They can memorize and quote anybody, philosophers, spiritualists, and everything. But I couldn't do that. I couldn't quote anything. And so, even though they did not say it, I was seen as, not as a failure, but rather as, what are you even doing here? You can't even memorize anything or quote anything. It wasn't until when I was in my theology years, which is about 4 or 5 years down the line, that I started to bloom. And that was when I was able to do what I could not do. So the ugly duckling story is about transformation, becoming who we were meant to be. When we talk about the account of the transfiguration, we see Jesus showing himself, or rather showing him as he would be as the second person of the Trinity. Because Jesus, the human, is in that form. But what he showed to the disciples was his form as the second person of the Trinity, the Son of the Father. Although that transfiguration period was short, it was just temporary, it's just to tell them, look, this is what I'm supposed to be, or who I'm meant to be. So how does the transfiguration apply to us then? Are we capable of being transfigured? Yes, we are. All of us. Transformation and transfiguration, two different things. Transformation is more or less permanent. Transfiguration shows us who we ought to be, or who we were intended to be in the first place, which is the child of God. You know, in the recent decade, there had been a lot of this craze or trend to beautify ourselves, whether it's man or woman. Right? The beauty industry is started booming in the past 10 years. The women are encouraged to buy all, and again, I'm not against all this. Okay, I'm not against women putting on makeup and everything. If it makes you feel confident, by all means. But I don't think we need to go to lengths to just buy everything and just apply everything on our faces. It's like when you have a pot of flour and just dip yourself in the pot of flour and your face all come out like that. So the men are no different, because we have those, I don't know what it means, but there are centers that say body sculpting, whatever that means. But I think it's more to produce six packs and all, make them look nice and I can't find the word in English. I don't know the word in Mandarin, but never mind, it's okay. So basically, the world tells us we need to look like this, like this, like this, like this. But if you take out everything, if you remove everything, is there a shame of being who we are originally? Why should we cover ourselves for the world to see when God sees us as beautiful? The account of Genesis tells us very clearly, when God created the world, the first few days, at the end of the day, he says, he found it to be good. He created this, he found it to be good. But when he created Adam and Eve, humanity, he said, he found it to be very good. So we are created to be very good in our original state, better than anything else this world can offer, better than anything that's invented, anything that's artificial. So to be transfigured is to acknowledge who we are in original state, the creature of God, created by God to be very good in the eyes of God and the eyes of one another. External can pass away. What is external will pass away. We cannot be beautiful forever. We cannot be fit and like a bodybuilder forever. All of those will pass away. But what is inside, the soul, the beauty of the soul, that does not pass away. So, if we are willing to be transfigured, that is who we should become. We should not fear, because when we fear, then we don't want to be ourselves. It's just like in the first reading, when Abram was asked to leave and go to a land that he doesn't even know, what did God say? For people who bless you, I will bless them. For people who curse you, I will curse them. So when we go through life, when we are asked to do things, or we transfigure ourselves to be more like Christ, definitely we will go through some hardships. People will ridicule us, or you're trying to be holy and all that kind of thing. But that is not the question, the thing that we should care about. St. Paul's letter in the second reading tells us, we bear all our hardships for the sake of the gospel, for the sake of the good news, So whatever hardship that we go through that helped us to be transfigured, it is because we want to show the world who God is through our transfiguration. Just like Christ, when he is transfigured, he showed himself to be who he is, the glory of God. And so it is the same with all of us. When we are transfigured, when we finally acknowledge who we are, the child of God, the precious, beautiful child of God, we show the glory of God to the world, knowing that he is the one who created us, he is the one who makes us beautiful, and there's nothing in this world that can change that. And so, as we journey towards Easter, journeying toward that transformation, we pray that the Lord will continue to grant us the wisdom, the courage to bear all kinds of hardships, knowing that one day, when we are fully transfigured, we will be filled with the glory and light of God.